e-gaming companies have had a hard time recently. India's GST officials so far have served notices worth 1 lakh crore to online gaming companies. Remember, in August this year, GST authority imposed a 28% tax on online gaming companies on the total funds deposited to play online games as well as in casinos. Now, while the authority has denied any retrospective implementation, all major gaming companies have been served with GST notices. Last week, Delta Corp received a GST notice for shortfall of tax payment to the tune of 6,384 crore rupees, taking the overall tax demand on the company to 23,000 crore rupees. GamesCraft, another gaming company, received a show cause notice in September alleging GST evasion of 21,000 crore rupees. Fantasy sport platform Dream 11 has also been slapped with 25,000 crore rupee tax notice. What exactly is happening with online gaming platforms? Will they be able to survive the onslaught of GST notices? To talk about that, joining us is Abhishek Murli. He is the president, All India Taxpayers Association. Abhishek, thank you very much for taking time out. Thank you for joining us back here. What's happening with these gaming companies? 1 lakh crore worth of tax notices. I mean, many of us were discussing, is that even the total market cap of online gaming industry?
No, it's definitely not. I think it's a very, very steep notice that has been levied. And there's a bit of technicality when they're discussing this. The government wants to say that it's not retrospective, it's clarificatory. But really speaking, if you come to the ground level, I think anybody who is dealing with this will tell you it's in the effect of retrospective because they're levying a tax on incomes or on receipts, which is more than 3 months old when making that clarification today. If I was a business and I knew it was going to be taxed at 28%, I may have decided to wrap up my business. Why will I do business if I know the rate is going to be 10% more and I'll have to bear it? I can't go and collect it from the people who paid me 6 months back, 3 months back, etc. So it seems a little unfair. It's definitely a little high pitch. And without doubt, this is going to go all the way to the Supreme Court. And I have a feeling that it will be given in the favor of the companies.
Hi Abhishek, so Yash here. I mean, the figure looks like very intimidating. 1 lakh crore of GST tax notices. I just want to ask, how likely are these companies? How likely is it for these companies that they will have to actually pay these tax?
I'll tell you where the conversation stems from. There is an interesting discussion we had in the newsroom that if these companies are unable to pay up, then what is the way forward? And will they have to pay up, or will perhaps the litigation go on and on and on for years and years like it happens in this country? So will that happen, or will they have to first wind up their businesses? Which of the two likelihoods will prevail over the other?
It's definitely going to go to the courts. There's no doubt about it. Because if you see the GST law today, traditionally speaking, the moment I give you a notice saying you have to pay this tax, you need to pay it within 30 days. If you don't do that, I will levy 100% penalty on you. So if it's going to be 1,000 crores demanded on you, you'll have to pay another 1,000 crores as a penalty, which just seems, like a business would just go under. So there is going to be a situation where people will immediately go to courts. They will go for what they call a stay petition. They will say, we cannot afford this. It's too much. It has been given retrospectively. It's not practically possible. So if companies can afford to go for this litigation, they will. But there's bound to be a situation where there are a lot of companies who simply cannot afford even the lawyer fees. They cannot afford even the lawyer fees. Those companies are likely to go under. I think this is something that requires immediate attention from the top people in the government, and they need to address this immediately because it's going to hit the gaming sector. Traditionally speaking, this 28% tax is reserved as a sin tax. It is meant for gambling, it is meant for horse racing, it is meant for betting, etc. But when you put online gaming in this together, what we call games of skill also gets included. Let's say somebody's playing a football game like a FIFA, or somebody's playing e-gaming tournaments, Call of Duty, etc. Like some of the video clips that you're showing side by side, you can see that people are playing games of skill and not a game of chance. And in that case, to put that along with a person who's betting money on horse racing seems very, very unfair. But that's exactly what they've done. And they have moved what was traditionally to be taxed at 18%, or in some cases not taxed at all. That's being moved to 28%. And that's what is really hitting the online gaming industry very badly.
Okay, and what is the legal recourse these companies have? Some of these gaming companies, as you pointed out, are definitely knocking, various high court doors. Delta Corp, for that matter, has gone to Sikkim High Court. There is a stay on GST notices there. Bombay High Court has also given relief to Delta Corp. There was an impact on stock thereafter. We'll discuss that with Suyash. But, do these companies have a legal recourse where they can all come together and all petition the court together, or will they have to move individually from here on?
Absolutely, they can go together. You, of course, have the Online Gaming Association who can act on behalf of all the companies who are part of the association. Or alternatively, what they would normally do in such circumstances, because a tax is levied on a single person or a single company, that company will file a petition at the High Court, and then they will bundle up petitions, a bunch of petitions which are based on the same issue. The High Court will bundle them up, and then they will, issue an overall decision for all of them. So giving a stay, it may have to be, given by each company individually.
Okay.
But giving a decision by the High Court will likely be done as a bundle for
But in that case, Abhishek, they'll be literally challenging the GST authority. And I don't think a lot of these gaming companies, some of which we've spoken to and the representation that has come to us, they don't want to go against a government decision. It will not be seen as a very good move. And especially when the government seems very adamant and so far, all commentary that is coming from the government, including GST officials, is that it is important to levy a higher tax on gaming platforms. 28% is what deems fit. You cannot be charging a household consumable item at the same rate as, let's say, gambling or casino or horse racing, which seems a fair enough argument. Where does this 28% reverse or retrospective implementation come from? Although the government is not saying it's 28% retrospective implementation, it has always been 28% retrospective, or 28% rather, tax rate, which perhaps these companies knew of but did not adhere to.
Yeah, I think the confusion arises from a very technical thing, which is the definition, where you have online gaming, betting, etc. Now, online gaming per se does not mean betting. I could play a game where I'm playing based on my talent, how good I am at playing online, how good I am at playing a certain game of skill. And if I win that game of skill, then it's not because of chance, it's because of my ability. And in that case, if you want to put it at the same bracket as, let's say, a person who's betting on a chance, if India wins tomorrow, so much. Or, if this horse wins the race, then I'll get so much. Now, that is a game of chance. There's absolutely no skill involved there. But you're bracketing both at the same tax rate, which seems slightly unfair. Now, that even assuming that you still want to tax it at 28%, I think the issue arises where the government says you have to pay 28% right from the inception, which is, from 6 months ago, whatever you collected, you need to pay 28% on that. Where do I go to collect the money? That person who paid me 6 months back is not going to come and say, oh, I paid you 10% less. Okay, you take this 10%. Nobody is going to do that. That's not practically possible. So there's a practical situation here where there's a timing difference. There's going to be a collection shortfall, yet the tax demanded is on the full amount, which is going to be impossible for companies to pay. So that is where the issue is actually arising.
All right, it looks like online gaming companies are caught between a rock and a hard place. Not much of a legal recourse there apart from individually seeking reprieve, which is what many of them are doing. Abhishek, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for taking time out. Thank you for joining us here on News 9.
Thank you very much.